to stretch. You need to move towards the experience and accept the premise of what is being shown to you, so you have to adapt to it. Same thing with, food, wine experiences, no matter what it is. If it does not require anything of you, it's worthless. When you look at the commercial level stuff, it works in the opposite way. It tries to feed our bias. So, it's the opposite movement. And the reason why we like the commercial stuff is that it does not, demand anything of us. So we end up with the most simple, also flavors like, sugar and fat and whatever it is, simple. We end up with decor, right? When it comes to cheeses, we end up with, American cheddar. If you had, it's, the simplest things that will not require anything of us, but will just feed into our existing bias. And this is really the difference between kind of commercial grade experiences and products and the finer things. And people are not used to being challenged. They don't even like the higher level stuff. An untrained person would not be able to taste the difference between the cheapest wine and the most expensive one. They would probably like the cheapest one because it's closer to like grape juice, right? So it's the same thing. And often with art as well, it's just, as long as it just speaks to their immediate childish emotions, they like it, they don't understand why. It's not a full process of understanding the history of art, being able to understand the composition, the life story of the artist, the relevance politically, historically, how it speaks to you and why. None of that, because that requires you to journey and to educate yourself. But this is really what growth is. We have to challenge ourselves. We have to let ourselves be challenged. Life will give us so many opportunities, but when you look at humans and what we enjoy as monkeys, is our biases being fed. And look at our world today, how much cheap, disgusting shit we consume in all directions at once. And we don't like to be challenged anymore. So things are getting more and more commercial, more and more mindless, less challenging. And we find that then we feel important because it proves to us that the map is right. And I drew it myself, so I'm very intelligent and smart. So we want experiences that can confirm. And this is what we normally choose. There's nothing wrong with kind of commercial grade experiences and stuff and food, because that's part of life. But understand that if it has any kind of value to develop you as a being, as a person, it needs to challenge you somehow. Right? And for most of you, food is an area where you can recognize that. Right? You've had to try new things. And maybe you didn't like it at first, but then you tried it again, and then maybe there's something to this. Right? And it's that. As we challenge ourselves, we train our brain beyond our own bias, beyond that surface. All the truly like good stuff will require of us that we challenge our maps, challenge our bias, and that we stretch. As a civilization, we've lost this. And all corporations and companies are just trying to run as fast as they can in the direction of giving you confirmation, because they know that if they can enslave you in your bias and confirmation, you're willing to pay for that. You're willing to pay for the illusion that your map is right. But it's also destroying our very civilization, because then we don't grow anymore. We actually reverse. We lower our consciousness. We're becoming less intelligent and more superficial in all ways. We have to go deeper. So try to have that attitude of always wanting to learn. Learning and confirmation are two opposites. If you're not being challenged, there is nothing to learn. And most times when there's, something valuable, you don't even like it first. Just think back to food. First time you tasted, real cheeses, you probably hated it. First time you tasted real wine, you hated it. First time you tasted real coffee, you hated it. Art, not for me. Well, maybe now it is. Same thing with any artistic expression. The higher the level, the more it requires. Okay? And try to build this attitude in you, because as a civilization, we're losing it. People are not interested in arts anymore. Performing arts, it's dying. Because people prefer auto-tune, right? We do not like to be challenged. We just like more of what we already like. So this is why we have ultra-processed foods, because it's basically baby foods for adults. It doesn't challenge us. It triggers the worst, the lowest common denominator, always. And you're lowering your consciousness when you're part of it. So we have to go deeper. We have to go beyond. We have to penetrate. But with this mantra, you will feel that it's safe. And it's interesting, and you will feel that nature wants you to grow, because that is evolution. Humans are being very unnatural right now when we're reversing natural growth. Another thing that this mantra works on is the deepest level of trust. And spiritual trust is different from human trust, because, as I always say, it's never about you trusting God. It's always about if God can trust you. That is the only trust connection that is real. Only you have to prove yourself. Reality already is. You don't have to be shown that truth is truth. It doesn't care. But what matters is, can the divine rely on you? Are you being consistent? Are you being true? But when we're not, that's when we want life to prove itself to us. Because we want our maps to be true. So we think that we can demand for the divine to show us. Often with people, well, if you show me this, then I will believe. It's irrelevant. Because it's of you, it is required to be in alignment. And then, when you are in alignment with truth, you can see it. It will not be served to or into the illusion, the space of illusion that you find yourself in, so that you may feel inspired to move out of your illusion if your ego sees that, oh, this is beneficial. It's not how it works. So, This is about the trust that is only about you. And if you are trustworthy, when you learn, when you kind of realize that it's only about God being able to trust you, you will see that the only kind of trust issues will be your own lack of clarity, your own lack of consistency, your own lack of ethics, and that is what you need to work on. It's not about anyone else and anything else. It's simply you.